Well, hello there Stitchy friends, and welcome to my very first Stitch With Me video. I'm Kat, and this is my channel, Catkin and Lily, where I chat about all things cross stitch. Now, I decided it would be fun to try a Stitch With Me video, as I start on a brand new project. So, let me show you what I'm working on. This is Gaia the Earth Goddess by Bella Filipina. And I've had this one for some time, and today I'm starting it because it's my birthday and I am treating myself. I have got everything all ready to go, and now it's just time to make the first stitch. Now, I will say, please bear with me because this is my first attempt at a Stitch With Me. So if anything's a little bit off or even maybe annoying, then please do just let me know, because I would love to, if you all enjoy this, do some more of these videos, and I'd like to improve them and make them as good as possible as I can for you. So I do appreciate any feedback as long as it's given kindly. So there's my design. You can see I've got my fabric here. It's probably, I'm trying to see if the colour's showing up nicely on here. I think it's a little bit more blue than it's showing up. It is showing up quite grey on here. I've got all my extra lights in on here today, but it's really grey outside, so I think we'll just work with what we've got. I've obviously got all my threads ready, so I've got them on my floss drops. I have actually prepped, just to save us a little bit of time, I've pulled out a couple of threads where I know I'm going to be stitching with them, so I've got them ready to go. And here on my fabric, I've got 2 pins in here. Oh, this one's nearly falling out. So I've decided that I'm going to start at the bottom of my fabric. So I've rolled up just a little bit at the bottom here, and I've rolled up a huge amount at the top. It's difficult to see, but you can see I've rolled up at the end. So I've rolled it. It's a really long piece of fabric. So I've rolled all that up to keep it out of the way so that I can start at the bottom. So I've just rolled a tiny piece at the bottom, and I've marked this pin. This is in the middle at the bottom. So I'm going to be starting with a bottom middle start. And what I'll do is I'll try and work my way as quickly as I can over to the right hand side, and then I can work all the rest of it up and to the left, because that's the way that I prefer to work these larger designs. I just find that it ends up looking neater for me. Now, what I will say is right at the very bottom of the design here, the first bits on there are actually some Karen water lilies. I'll show you because they're so pretty. It's this beautiful thread, which is absolutely gorgeous. This is espresso, I think. Yeah, this is espresso. It's beautiful. And there's a bit of it at the bottom. Now, I haven't stitched with this before, so I'm actually putting off doing it. I'm not going to stitch this one on camera today. I'm leaving it. I imagine that it's just going to be like working with any other variegated thread. Make sure that I don't leap start, so that if I'm using 2 strands, that it's the same all the way along, and making 1 stitch at a time to have that nice variegation showing. So I'm assuming that's what I need to do with it, but just to avoid any mishaps, in case I'm wrong about that and I need to check anything else, I'm leaving that bit for now, and I'm going to start with some regular DMC on here. So I've counted up to where the bit is that I'm going to start with, so that's what this second pin up here is. This is my start point of where I need to be. And I mean, it doesn't have to be absolutely exact. I've got a decent bit down the bottom here anyway, so it's absolutely fine. Obviously, I've got my chart off to the side over here, which obviously I can't show you. And I've got my threads, I've got my scissors to hand. I think I've got everything. I've got the chart, the thread list here, mainly because for the list so I can see the symbols for the beads, because I know from the Bella Filipina charts when I'm working on them that I'll be looking at a symbol and can't work out which thread it is, and it's not a thread, it's a bead. So I keep this to hand so that I know which symbols are beads. So when I'm looking at them on the chart, I can check, oh yeah, no, that's actually a bead, not a thread. So I've got that to hand there. And I've worked out my first colour, which is, I'm going to be stitching with this lovely, so we're starting out with what's in her dress, down at the bottom of her dress. So I'll show you on here actually. I think what I'm starting on is just in this little darker fold here. That's about where I'm starting, which is very exciting. I can't believe I've waited for this moment so long. It's absolutely crazy. As I say, I did prep a couple of these threads out here so that I've got it ready to go. And I'm going to thread this up, and then I think I might just zoom the camera in a little bit, so I'm hoping you'll be able to see a little bit better. I've got a brand new needle. I'm using one of my favourites. This is a lovely Peacemaker's needle. And yes, folks, if the thread disappears off screen, I am licking it. I apologise if that upsets you. At least you don't have to see me doing it, because I did not get this figured for having two cameras so you can see me and the stitching. We're just doing the stitching. So at least you don't have to see me licking threads if that's something that upsets you. So I have got this ready to go. Let me look at my chart, make sure I know exactly what I'm doing. Okay, right. Let's see. Let's try and zoom this in a little bit more. I don't know how it's going to work. I don't know. There's probably an optimal for this. We will play around with it. Let's see. So there's that's the bottom corner. I really want to make this first stitch right. That's just about right. Let's take that pin. Let's take that pin out. And I'm trying to check that I'm starting. Yeah, that is perfect. So yeah, I do tend to loop start from the front, which does mean I can see where I'm going. Do you know, I'm going to unroll that fabric a little bit, I think, actually. Let's go with that. Right, now that's done, I can actually take that pin out as well. As long as I know where I am, I don't need extra pins in there, because I will just stab myself with them. So it's always a bit of jiggery pokery getting this sorted without trying to stitch on camera. And ta-da! First stitch is in. How exciting. Okay, so we're going to start with, I've got a little row of stitches. Not a row, it's a column of stitches. So the fabric I've got here, this is 28 count even weave. It is from Sparklies hand dyed. It's absolutely stunning. It's called Maelstrom. I absolutely adore it. I did think it was going to be slightly greeny coloured, and it isn't. It's more blue, but it is still beautiful, and I think the colours are really going to pop. So yeah, I think it'll be lovely. Right, I'm just going to count here, make sure I get the right number of stitches. 2, 3, 4 stitches. It's nerve-wracking enough making a start without doing it actually on camera as well. If I make a mistake and the frog comes to visit, oh, I'm going to be very, very upset. Okay. Oh, it looks so lovely, this orange against the fabric. I am so excited for this. I am going to have to count this really carefully. So I said I like to start in the middle at the bottom. Well, ideally I would start off to the side, down in that bottom right hand corner, but that is too much counting to try and make sure that I've got it right. I figured that really is not actually going to happen. So yeah, I've just gone with the middle. And the reason I like to start is I basically like to make all my stitches in exactly the same way. So I like to come up in the top right, down in the bottom left. Okay, actually I've got 2 in a row here, so and then so top right, bottom left, top left, down to bottom right. And I just find that if I make all of my stitches in exactly that same way, no matter how I'm stitching, rather than making some of them maybe from bottom left to top right, and then it just, if I dot around with how I make the stitches, it doesn't look as neat. So it's just all about neatness for me, and I just find it easier to do. And then I will work my way sequentially. I don't really like to leave gaps. I don't know how far I'll get today, so you may or may not get to see how I like to work everything all in order. I don't leave gaps and go back to fill it in. I also, as you can see, I do like to railroad my stitches. I'll show you that in a minute. Let me just do a little count. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, I've got 6 rows done, 4. 2 more to go. So yeah, so I don't, for the bottom leg, I'm not doing anything special, but then when I come back on the top row, this may be hard to see, but I'm doing what's called railroading. So I'm putting my needle between the 2 strands. So I tend to run my thumb over like so, and then so the strands will kind of lie next to each other. Then I'll put my needle between the 2 strands and back down the hole. And just make sure that those top strands are going to lie nice and neatly next to each other. They often will anyway, to be honest. But I like to give them that little bit of encouragement. It does make it a little bit slower, but I think it's worth it. I kind of think for these big projects, I do just want it to look absolutely as good as it can be. Right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, then single. Gosh, I am absolutely paranoid about making a mistake. It feels much harder. So incidentally, I am working this off of a paper pattern. I believe you can get these patterns to go into Pattern Keeper or Markup RXP, but honestly, I found it a bit of a faff, and I actually quite like working from a paper pattern. I don't mind it, so I'm going to go with that. Right, now I've got to count. I've got to go 4 stitches across from here, so careful on counting. 1, 2, 3, 4. So I've just run my needle along the back through the holes, just sort of bobbled it in as I go to kind of count and make sure that I'm hopefully right. I'll find out in a minute. Whether my stitches here are going to match up. Yep, I think we're okay. Yep. That's all good. So, as I say, I'm working from the paper pattern, and sometimes I will mark the pattern off, and sometimes I won't. It depends what it is. If it's something where I can actually quite easily see what I've done or what I haven't done, then I might not mark it off. Sometimes I might just mark sections off where it's got a bit more complicated. I've missed a stitch at the end of that row. Do you know what? I forgot I needed to go along the end. I'm going to I could probably fill it in a minute, but it will be neater if I do it this way. Oh, needle threading, the joys the joys. There we go. That's better. Yeah. There we go. That's my first instance of getting distracted because I'm talking. It probably won't be the last. Although maybe I'll get used to it a little bit more. Now I guess I have not mentioned the bit you're probably all most curious about actually, and I've realised I haven't even mentioned it because it is just what I do, which is that I'm stitching in hand. I've not got any frame. Those of you that have watched a few of my videos, I'm not paying attention. Am I doing this right? 5, 5, 5. Yep. Okay. Yeah, those of you that have watched me know that I don't really like to stitch with a hoop or frame. And I think there's another reason I actually like to start from the bottom, because I find it easier to get the fabric in a way to hold it such that I'm not going to warp the tension while I'm stitching. So I can kind of just, well, I mean, you can sort of hopefully see what I'm doing, but I don't really want to do is hold on to I don't want to be scrunching up the fabric and holding onto it too tight. So this way, if I keep it rolled up and like this, I can just sort of rest it on my hand. I'm not really having to hold the fabric tight. It's just sort of resting there, and I'll just sort of have this little bit flat that I'm working on. And just, as I say, it's very hard to explain to someone how I do it. And it's quite hard. It's even harder when it's on camera as well. But yeah, it's just a case of getting the, I know there's no tension in the fabric, but you can just get the stitches nice. They still look nice. To encourage that thread to be nice and flat. So yeah, I would say if you've never tried stitching in hand, don't try it for a project this size. It's probably not ideal. But do try it and say, as long as you're not holding the fabric, you just need to find a way that you're not like holding the fabric and scrunching it and pulling it in any kind of weird way. But other than that, you don't really need, that tension in the fabric. You do just need to know how hard to pull your thread with each stitch. You don't want to be, I don't know, you don't want to be pulling it too tight, but obviously you don't want it loose. So yeah, I guess that bit does take a little bit of practice. This is getting a bit twisty. So I'm just going to, if I push my needle, this is what I do, put my needle down to the bottom and just straighten that out a little bit, and then pull my needle back up again. That's my preferred method of untwisting. It's maybe a little bit of an unusual one. Right, let's have another little check. Yep, I think we're all good. I'm really loving how this is looking on here. This orange colour looks so beautiful on here. Now what I will say is this is 28 count even weave. Now because it's hand dyed, it's a little tiny bit tighter than a 28 count. I measured it and it's at least 29, maybe 29.5-ish. So the stitches are a tiny bit smaller than you'd get on a 28 count. And trying to get your thread coverage on a 28 count, I always find it's a little bit iffy, but because it's shrunk a bit, it's not too bad. And also the first fancy lady that I ever stitched, and she's not finished yet. She's finished the stitching. But the first fancy lady I ever stitched, I stitched on 32 count. And honestly, it looked lovely. But when I came to do the beading, it was probably going to be, well, it is. I'm still working on the beading. It's a little bit cramped. So I've gone back to 28 count for fancy ladies. And you can see the coverage is pretty darn good. You can maybe get like a hint of fabric showing through, but you absolutely won't notice. And especially, well, I was going to say when you wash it at the end, but hand-dyed fabric and hand-dyed threads, this one is not getting washed. So, which I did wash my hands. I always wash my hands before I touch my fancy ladies. Right, I'm debating if I can get one more row out of this because I quite like to finish two. Obviously, I want to make good use of my bit of thread. There's quite a bit more up this way to stitch. I'm going to try and get one more row out of this. I do like to use towards the end, but it does get a bit tattier and twistier, so there's honestly no point eking your thread out way more than you need. And I can always leave it halfway through a row, can't I? It's not the end of the world. There's just something, I don't know, it's satisfying to leave it at the end of a full row, not a half row. So we'll see if I can get these 5 stitches. Yeah, that's definitely 5. And then I could get some more of this colour and carry on working upwards. But I think we'll have a change of colour. So we can do something a little bit more interesting. Yay, there we go. Okay. I got my 5 stitches out of there. I think that's probably it before it starts getting tatty. So I'm going to run in. I'm going to go 1, 2, 3. That's that. And snip that nice and close. So yay, there we go. First little bit of stitching. That's super exciting. Right, now, I say because I want to work this way, I'm going to try and come over a little bit. And let's have a different colour. This is going to get a little bit complicated, but we shall see. I need the darker colour. So working my way this way is, as I said, the reason it's going to get slightly complicated is because I still want to make all my stitches working in that direction. Oh, needle. Needle, needle. Goodness me. And this is one of the easier needles to thread. Honestly. Right. So what I'm going to do, I've got a little section in here that's in the darker colour. And I'm going to start it from the bottom, which means I have to do a bit of counting. This could go very badly wrong. 1, 2, 3. Okay, I need to go 4 across from the bottom of here. 1. Oh man. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to check this again. If I get this wrong, it's going to be an absolute nuisance. Yeah, no, I'm pretty sure I'm right. I'll find out in a minute anyway whether it matches up or not. Okay, and I've got to skip 1. Counting's always the best bit, isn't it? I mean, I guess it is called counted cross stitch, and I guess it keeps you on your toes. I just don't normally have anyone looking over my shoulder while I'm counting. Right. Let's see if this is looking... Yeah, I think so. I think we're looking all right. Okay, so those 3 are... Yep, that's... It's matching. It's matching. We're all right. Yep. Few. I don't know what else to tell you about this now. Who would have thought I'd be lost for words? Well, I guess I could say happy birthday to me, because did I mention this at the beginning? I've mentioned it on various places. It is my birthday today, and this is my birthday treat. I have actually been in work today, and everyone was wondering why I was in work on my birthday, but I think, honestly, birthdays get a little bit less exciting, don't they, as you get older? And I'll let you in on a little secret. I'm now officially closer to 50 than I am to 40, because today is my 45th birthday. I have to keep saying it, actually, because I can't quite believe it myself, to be honest. So if I say it enough times, maybe I'll actually get it into my head that that's how old I am, because I definitely don't feel that old. But yeah, I was in work. I really didn't mind. I just left a little bit early so that I could come home and start my stitching. And this is basically what a birthday looks like. I would say when you're 45, but honestly, this is just any age. This is my perfect birthday. I've had a nice coffee. I came home, made myself a lovely cappuccino, and sat for a few minutes with lovely husband Dr. Tim. And then I came upstairs and I'm starting my very exciting cross stitch project. And then later on tonight, I'm going to treat myself to a nice little gin and tonic. And then I'll be in bed by 10 o'clock. So yeah, it's not really party central here. But it's just perfect for me. I'm very happy with that. That's exactly what I want to be doing. And I've got loads of time to be stitching this. Wait and see how much progress I can get done, because I've got this evening. I've got Friday tomorrow because I don't work. I've got the weekend. I have no other plans for the weekend. And then it's a bank holiday Monday here in the UK. So I am going to be making use of all of that good time to stitch. And I am very excited. I'm very curious to see how much I can actually get done. I'm not someone who tries to stitch. I think I stitch quite fast, but I don't try and stitch at any particular speed because it's not That's not really the point of cross stitch, and especially for something like this, I'm more interested in having it look really nice and be beautifully neat than how fast I can go. But yeah, I am very excited to put in some stitches and have a good long time to work on this. It's nice to have that when you start a project, I think, to really get a good chunk done at the start, and yeah, you really can just really get into the project, really fall in love with it. I always think that's quite nice. And other than that, I think my plans for my birthday and the weekend, well, I have actually ordered a puzzle today, so that will be fun. I'm very much looking forward to that. Ordered a 1500 piece puzzle. I often go for 1000 piece, so I've gone a little bit bigger this time. And I'm really excited because I don't know whether any of you know Amy Stewart, Amy Stewart's artwork has been turned into cross stitch that you can generally buy from, I think it's only Heaven and Earth Designs that have her artwork turned into cross stitch, and I've done one of her designs. That's my one Heaven and Earth that I've done with an Amy Stewart, Amazing Animal Kingdom, and her artwork's also been turned into puzzles, which I love. So I've done one of them, and that just looks a tiny bit. There we go. Do you know what? That stitch was looking a tiny bit janky there. Just stuck my needle in it, tidied it up a little bit. So yeah, I'm very excited to do. What have I ordered? I've ordered the Grand Library. Oh, I'm very excited to do that puzzle with lovely husband Dr. Tim, of course. Now I think, yeah, that is actually all of that darker bit. So let me see, I'm going to turn that round and run it in there. Yeah, I think that would look tidy. So I do tend to keep the little bits. I don't always use them, but that's enough that I might be able to use that again. So I will put that, on my floss drop. So I've got on my floss drops, I've got my main section in the middle. I've got a working thread on this side that I'm taking threads off of, and then I put small pieces on the other side. So that's how it goes. And each of these, I've got the symbols on the back so I can see what I'm looking for. So let's have a little look. There we go. We've got 2 little bits of stitching in there now. Right, I think we need to go back to, is it back to the first colour? It is. I'm back to this lighter colour, but there's not very many stitches there. Oh, it does go a little way. Okay, I'll still take a full piece. Sometimes if I think I'm not going to have to do very many stitches, then I might take the full piece off of here and then cut this in. I might cut this in half and just use half of it. Pop the other half back on there. Yeah, so I've got the right symbol there. I think it's going to be more stitches than I can do with a half piece, so use the full piece and then save the little endy bit. Right, just keep that rolled up. So each time I just sort of readjust the fabric and keep rolling it. Make sure I've got that rolled pretty much up to where I'm working on, and create my little sort of flat platform for me to stitch on. And let's see where we're going now. So there's one across here and then there. That's right. So the other thing I might do this weekend, well, almost definitely will do, depending on the weather. As it's a bit grey at the moment, but we live in a beautiful area of countryside, so we do like to go out for lots of lovely long walks. So I will definitely be doing some of that. I would hope it can't rain for the whole of Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. I mean, it probably can, but let's hope it doesn't. So yeah, I'll be able to go and get some nice walking in, which would be good. Maybe a spot of gardening. As I say, it was I got all excited yesterday because it was the 1st of May and the sun came out. It was absolutely glorious. And so I was well excited, thinking, finally, we've hit May, the weather's beautiful, and today it's just rained all day. Grey and absolutely tipping it down with rain. So that's delightful. I mean, it is just a good excuse though, isn't it, when it's grey and rainy, just to stay inside and stitch. And I'm going to go for a nice curry as well with some neighbours. It's going to be really good. I look forward to that. It's always nice to go for a meal out. No washing up either. That's always good, isn't it? This is sliding off my leg a little bit. Well, I'm debating now how long to leave this on and to stitch for, because I feel like I'm sort of just stitching and running out of things to say, which is definitely not like me, but I think it's a bit weird sitting doing the stitching at the same time. I know a lot of you have been asking about me stitching in hand though, so I'm hoping that this has maybe been a little bit interesting for you to see that. And I guess, I mean, there's not going to be that much progress to see. I was hoping we might get to another colour that's not orange. Much as I like the orange, I just thought maybe for some interest we might get to something else. We shall see. Well, I will say, if you're enjoying seeing my Gaia, I should let you know, again, you may already know this, but I have other cross stitchers who are also stitching Gaia and starting Gaia at the same time as my sort of fairly ad hoc birthday start. So we have got, so you can go and follow these guys if you fancy. They're all on Instagram and they also have FlossTubes. So if you want to see their progress and compare, because it would be really fun to see what fabrics they're using and where they're starting. They might be starting in a different place. So yeah, it's going to be really fun, a really fun comparison. And I will tell you, I just need to check what I'm doing. Oh, here we go. We've got beads. Right, I've got to leave a bead gap. So I'm actually got to come out here. Okay, And this is going to be, it's going to be beads just there. That's 2 little beads in that gap. Just that. What are they? Oh, I don't know. Frosted bottle green. So yeah, two little beads to go just in there. So I won't do any of the beads until right at the end. I probably won't do any of the back stitch until right at the end. The back stitch is way complicated on this one. There are a lot of colours of back stitch and a few long stitches, and I think this, I can't remember if this one's even got French knots. They don't always, but I think this one might have French knots. Anyway, I haven't forgotten I was going to tell you about the other stitches, but I'd need to check that I don't need to leave another bead gap. No, we're just finishing these 3 into there. So yeah, so the 3 stitches I know of that are joining me is Andrew, the runner stitcher. He was the first one who said he got Gaia, and we agreed that we would start it together. So it's very exciting. So definitely go and give Andrew a follow. I'll make sure I've got links in the description for all of these chaps. And yeah, he is definitely, I know he's definitely starting today. Why that's just didn't, there we go. That's better. He's definitely starting. He has got a lovely fabric. Really, really beautiful. It's a fabric with green at the bottom and then shading up to blue. Oh, she is going to look so good on that. So he is starting at the bottom as well, so that he can get the bottom of her dress placed where he wants it. So yeah, that's going to look absolutely beautiful. I really can't wait to see that. That's going to be lovely. So yeah, he is definitely starting that one. Who else? Leah from Leah's Cross Stitch Corner. Now, I think she's a little bit delayed. I was checking in on how she was doing, and I think she's still waiting for some of her stuff. So she is, I don't think, starting it today, but hopefully will be joining in as soon as she gets everything. And the third one is Emma from Emma Bobbins. And I don't know if she's actually starting today or not. I know she's been prepping for it, so I think hopefully she is. So yes, all 3 of those are on Instagram and FlossTubes. So I'll pop all the links in the description. You know where it is, down there. Now let's see, can we get one more bit done that's not orange? And then I think we might need to call it a day. I've got a little flower symbol here, which I think might be a green. It is. It's, yeah, this little flower symbol, which is exciting. And I think this one actually, this is a, yeah, this one's going to be a great shout just for a half piece. So I'm going to take my thread, snip that in half. I can see I don't have loads of stitches to do. Now this is where a lot of stitches would probably, so I've got a little bit of green to go up here, then there's another bit of colour, and then there's more of this same green the other side. And I know a lot of people would stitch all of that green at the same time and fill in the colour in the middle afterwards. That is not happening. I really hate leaving gaps. So I will stitch. It just never looks as neat for me. I mean, other people absolutely fine, but when I try, it just doesn't look as neat. So I will stitch the bit of green up here, then the other colour, and then the green. It's just how it goes. I'm going to continue working that way. Oh, except we've got a lot of counting to do again. Oh, it's much easier. Once I've got to this corner and can work that way, oh, it's going to be so much easier. Right, let's get this right. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. 2 across and 3 down. I'm gonna risk it. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. I mean, literally the worst that happens if I get this slightly wrong is that I have to pull it out. And it won't be very many stitches. Not that it's fun pulling stuff out if you get it wrong, but I fairly trust my counting, to be honest. As long as it's not too far. I mean, I'm not going to be counting. I will only count a few, maybe 4 or 5 stitches away. I don't really love counting much further away than that, because yeah, the risk of getting it wrong is, yeah, it would be a bit annoying. Oh, it feels quite, this thread feels quite chunky, this green. You know how some threads feel thicker or thinner than others? This one feels really chunky compared to the orange anyway. It's just how it goes. Some colours are like that. I think it's to do with the dyeing process. Yeah, this one looks so chunk. That's crazy. Well, I think we've met up in the right place. Phew. That's okay. Oh yeah, I'm just checking because I've got backstitch over the symbol. Do you know? I'm trying to look now. Yeah, I reckon that's really hard to tell because the backstitch goes over it. I think I'm going to go for it because it doesn't make sense for it not to be this colour. Actually, you can sometimes tell from the picture. You can actually, I find with these Bella Filipinas, you can sometimes see, what's where. Oh. Yeah, no, I'm pretty sure that's, I actually can't see on there, but I think it is. It's fine. I also don't think it'll matter that much. I was debating whether this one in here is a green or the cow and water lilies colour. Yeah. I'm going with it. It won't make enough of a difference, and there's a backstitch thread over it, so I don't think it matters. No, needle, come back. Well, I think we'll do a few more. I'll just do this, and then I think we'll probably leave it there because I'm willing to bet I have been doing this. Let me have a little look at my timer. See how long I've been going. Yeah, we're on 50 minutes. And I know they can run a little bit longer, these Stitch With Me's, because hopefully you are doing what it says on the tin and stitching with me. I hope you're stitching something nice. Do let me know in the comments what you've been working on, if anything, or whatever else you were up to while you've been watching this. Maybe you've been absolutely glued to the screen doing nothing else other than just watching me. I seriously doubt that, but Maybe you all are that fascinated with my actual stitching process. And I think that's that little bit of green. So we'll run that in, and I think that will probably do. Well, there we go. That is what 50 odd minutes of stitching whilst on camera looks like. I'm probably a tiny bit faster, but not loads if I was not on camera. But anyway, very exciting. I'm really happy that I could share this with you. I hope it's gone okay. I hope you've been able to see what I'm doing. Please do let me know, as I say, any feedback that you have that I can improve this. If you want me more zoomed out or zoomed in, or however it might be better, then do let me know. And if you actually want to see more of this sort of video, and maybe what other projects, do you want to see more of this one, more of lovely Gaia, or would you like to see me stitching any of my other projects? Anyway, I will leave it there for now. Thank you for spending some time with me. I will be back again soon with more videos. So until then, happy stitching. Bye for now.